Ashley, you recognize what this is?
It's an electromagnet.
How do you know?
Because I made one at home.
Well, here, use this one and tell me what you did.
Okay. First of all, I took a big iron nail, right? And then I wrapped lots of wire around it, right? And then I attached it to a battery, just like that.
Okay, here's the battery and here's the connection.
Right.
And then what'd you do with it?
Then I put it in a pile of paper clips.
Paper clips right there. Go ahead, put it in. Why doesn't it pick them up?
Because there's no electrical current going around.
Okay, they're now all connected. Go ahead, put it in there again. Okay, you're now connected. Now what'll happen when I turn the current off?
They'll probably all fall down.
They didn't. Not all of them, at least.
No.
You know what that's called?
Residual magnetism.
Residual, yeah, what does that word mean?
It means left over.
Yeah, actually what has happened, Ashley, when you had the magnetism go through the nail, you actually lined up some of the molecules of the nail sort of in line. That's what happens when you magnetize something. So they're still magnetized.
Strange.
How do you get rid of it, you know?
No, I don't.
Well, you take the nail and hammer it, or you heat it. Anything to jar the molecules around so they're in all different directions again.
Okay.
Now, how do you make the magnet stronger? What if we wanted to pick up more paper clips?
Just add a bigger magnet. Just add a bigger magnet.
In other words, bigger nail, you mean?
No, a bigger magnet like this, or a bigger
battery. Oh,
right.
I see. Bigger battery. True, you can put a couple of them in there. But now, let's assume we have the same amount of current. How do we make it stronger?
I don't know.
Why did you wind so many coils around it?
To make more magnetism.
Yes, because as the current goes through the wire, there's magnetism around each one of these coils. So the more coils you have, the more magnetism. And then why did you put the iron nail in there?
So to concentrate the magnetism.
Yes, it concentrated. Well, now you get the idea of how an electromagnet works. Here's one you may not have seen. But see that? You can see all the little coils of wire in there?
Yeah.
Hundreds of turns. Okay. What does this correspond to?
The nail.
Yes. But notice this one has iron around the outside, too. It's called an iron-clad magnet. So it captures all the magnetism. Then there's a keeper that goes on like that.
Okay.
And then we can turn it upside down here. And here's a very tiny battery which I will connect to produce the electromagnetism.
Okay.
But instead of putting paper clips from here, we're going to put Ashley.
What?
We're going to hang you right from here, and you're going to be suspended by the magnetism produced by that little battery.
That little teeny weeny battery.
That's right. Come on, I'll show you.
Help.
Okay, one electromagnet ready to go to work.
I'm not too sure about
Well,
this.
I have a cord on here, so you can't fall too far. Go ahead, try it. Feet off the ground?
Yeah.
Okay, now, Ashley, I'm going to disconnect the battery. What should happen?
I'm gonna fall.
Okay, here you go. Pretty strong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, because of an iron-clad magnet and a tiny little battery. This view of a familiar mystery seed shows you only one half of it. Each half is called a cotyledon. The food stored in them is used by the new plant until it can begin to produce its own food. You eat both cotyledons to get the proteins and fats stored in the meat of the walnut.
I'm putting in the 2 10s here.
Okay, that's 19, 20, 21 blocks. The one you're putting in there is called the keystone.
Keystone.
Yeah, and
What's
I think
a
you'll see
keystone?
why. Because now I'd like you to take the board back here and slowly raise it.
You
Okay?
sure it won't fall?
Go ahead. I'll sort of adjust them as you go. Okay. Okay, keep going, keep going. Keep going. One more. Slowly now, very slowly. Very slowly. Hold it right there. Hold it right, well, hold it right there. Hold it right there. I can't let it go. There we go. Okay, now try going forward.
Forward.
Okay, now slowly go back. Whatever you do, don't bump the table. And when you let go of that piece, put it down very gently, Maria. Very gently. Very. Okay.
A rainbow.
Yeah. Well, you know what that's called? That's called a catenary arch. And see if I can explain it. Here, go back over there so that you can sort of look through that arch. And I'm going to hold a chain up that's at roughly the same length as the blocks. See that arch?
Yeah.
And it's called a catenary arch because the Latin word for chain is catenary. And it can be a little wider or a little narrower. And it's a mathematical sort of figure called a catenary. Now, come back over here. Remember I told you the keystone
Yeah.
was the key stone, assuming these were all made of stone.
Okay.
And you see that? Well, that's the one right up there. What should happen if you remove that one?
Probably fall.
Yeah, because what's holding it in position? This one is pushing on that one, that's pushing on that one, you know, and all until each block is holding the other one in place, and they're all held in place by the keystone. So if you'd like to ruin the whole thing, go ahead. Remove number 11.
The keystone.
The keystone! Have you ever heard of the concept of signal-to-noise ratio, Nicola?
I think I have.
Yeah.
I'm not too, I don't really think so.
Well, we ought to investigate it because it's a very important scientific principle that runs through all kinds of fields of science. Have you ever worked with an oscilloscope?
No.
Okay,
No.
well, that's an oscilloscope, which is really a device for making waves visible. And I'll turn up the volume on this thing over here.
Oh yeah, and the waves
You
are going.
see that wave?
Yeah.
Okay, and you hear that sound?
Yeah. High-pitched sound.
Okay, that's our signal. Now I'll turn that down. And I have a radio tuned between stations.
Okay.
So there's a little volume control on the other side. Turn that up a little bit.
Oh, I hear a
Keep
fuzzy
going.
sound. Fuzzy.
Yeah, fuzzy.
Yeah.
Okay, that's noise.
Yeah.
It's called white noise because it's a mixture of all different kind of frequencies. So what we want to do now is compare that signal that I had first to the noise. So turn down the noise,
Okay.
and I'll turn up the signal. Because watch what happens. We have it about like that.
Yeah.
We can certainly see what it is. We can hear what it is.
Yeah.
Now turn up the noise.
Oh, now this.
Keep going. Go all the way. Go on.
Can't see anything.
You can't see anything
No.
because the signal-to-noise ratio, or the comparison of the two, is too great. They're both maybe the same strength, and you can't see anything.
Yeah.
So what scientists try to do, and engineers when they work with equipment, is to try to get the signal loud enough to overcome the noise if they have a lot of noise, or in some cases, make the equipment better so that the signal will stay at the same strength but reduce the noise.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
Reduce the noise over there once now. See, there was the signal
Yeah.
there all the time.
Yeah.
Now, in spite of the fact here, I'll increase the strength of the signal a little bit. Now you increase the strength of the noise. Okay, now back down just a little bit. Notice that if we were sending information, we could still get it, couldn't we?
Yeah.
Even if it's
good.
noisy.
Yeah. Right there.
You're right there. In fact, you could go up a little higher even.
You can still see it.
You could still see that there are supposed to be 4 peaks there.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to turn down the noise?
There.
And I'll turn down the signal over here. Now, you've done that with sound. Have you ever driven along and listening to a car radio and you turn the music up so that you can hear it?
Yeah.
Then what happens when you stop at a stop sign?
It's really loud.
But it hasn't changed volume at
No,
all, has
not
it?
at all.
What happened?
Because everything else is quietened down because of the
In
stop.
terms of signal-to-noise ratio, the signal stayed the same, but what happened to the noise?
It just got
You took it
louder.
down? Well,
Yeah.
no, the noise was the car running. So
Yeah.
when you stopped at a stop sign, what happened to the noise
Oh, I
level?
see. It just
the
went
noise level
down.
went down,
Yeah.
and it seemed like it was louder because
Yeah.
before you had to turn the radio up so loud that it was over the noise ratio.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we could do that with picture information. Underneath there is a picture of a person,
All right.
and I have covered it over with layers of screen to represent noise. Can you recognize who it is?
Not at all. I don't even know.
Okay, now there are several layers of screen, so take one off at a time, reducing the noise and keeping the picture, the information, or the signal the same.
Oh, I see some white here.
Some white there.
Yeah.
Okay. Try taking another one off and see. You
Okay.
slowly reducing The noise level.
It's a person.
It's a person, all right.
I can see a mouth.
A mouth. Okay. Take one more layer of noise away.
Oops. Oh, no, I know who that is.
Who?
Me.
Yes. I asked your mother for a picture of you so I could cover it over. And notice, by the way, there's a lot of noise in the picture.
Yeah.
There's a whole layer of screen on the top, and yet you
Yeah.
can still recognize it because the signal-to-noise ratio is good enough for you to get the information. Okay, now let's do the reverse. Let's have the noise ratio so great, and here is the signal.
Okay. I don't know what that is.
You don't know what that is
No.
because the signal now is much too weak for the amount of noise.
Yeah.
And that's the way a jigsaw puzzle works. Okay, here's another piece of information. Add it to that. See if you can think it goes like that.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one.
Oh, it's a zipper. Okay.
Okay, so notice now that as the signal level increases, you're beginning to get information, all right?
Yeah.
But you're not the complete information, obviously.
I think that's a
Okay,
coat.
try that. It's a coat, right?
Yeah. And it's a shoulder.
Right, a shoulder. Okay,
That. Ooh. Oh,
another shoulder.
another shoulder. Yeah.
How about that?
It's a corner, so it must. Oh, I think it's up here. Okay. Trees. Another corner. So.
Notice a
there.
vital piece of information is gone. The thing that you use to recognize people, right? The
Yeah.
face. Okay, here's the last piece. Put that in.
It's you.
Yeah, it's me.
There.
So what I did was to cut up a picture of me in jigsaw puzzle fashion. And that's one of the reasons why jigsaw puzzles are hard to do. And you remember those that have all kinds of little dots and whatnot in them?
Oh, yeah.
The signal-to-noise ratio on each piece is so great or so small that you can't really put it together.
No.
And only when you get closer and closer to the end does it all sort of fall into place. So what is the important idea that we tried to get at today?
That the signal to the noise ratio is greater.
Yeah. In other words,
the same.
signal-to-noise
Yeah.
ratio exists in many fields of science and engineering. And what you try to do is to make the signal-to-noise ratio as great as possible because then you'll get the best information.
Yeah.
Very good. Here's a rubber band, BB, with a lot of sort of black marks on him. Looks like might be dirt or something. But it's a secret message.
Really?
Can you read it?
No.
And because it's on a rubber band, what do you think you have to do?
Stretch it?
Okay, what? What does it say?
Secret message rubber band.
Yes. So obviously I wrote it when it was stretched like that, and then when you let it go back, it squeezes all the letters together until you can't read it.
Neat.
The way to do it that's easiest is to stretch the rubber band on a ruler like this. Here, write something like a W or something on the ruler. Kind of real narrow. That's fine. Okay. Okay, so now you see, you can write your whole message with it when it's stretched like this. And now when you take it off, there's the W you wrote. So you obviously should make them skinnier than that, right?
Yeah.
In fact, how about skinny like that? Can you read it?
No.
What do I have to do?
Stretch it.
Here it comes.
Stretch code.
Yes, stretch code. A big blue lake in the dry desert of eastern California, a welcome sight to a thirsty traveler, but a disappointment. The water is saltier than the ocean. Despite its high salt content, Mono Lake has supported abundant wildlife for thousands of years. Tens of thousands of California gulls nest here, and more than 60 other bird species stop at the lake on their migrations back and forth between Canada and South America. The mineral-loaded water is the ideal environment for tiny brine shrimp, a favorite food of many of the birds. Brine fly larvae live along the shore and are also eaten by the birds. The lake has been a haven for birds since it was formed thousands of years ago by a glacier, but now is slowly disappearing. Since 1941, the level of the water has fallen so low, these strange-looking mineral deposits that were once underwater are now exposed. The level has dropped because water for the city of Los Angeles, far to the south, has been diverted from streams that had supplied new water to the lake. As the water level fell, what had once been the largest breeding island for gulls became a peninsula. The gulls' nests can now be reached by coyotes, snakes, and rodents. Twice, scientists have tried to dynamite the land bridge that connects the former island to the shore without success. Then they built a fence with a metal skirt below ground to thwart burrowing animals and topped with barbed wire. The fence held back the predators, but the gulls, by instinct, preferred to nest on islands protected on all sides by water. Many of the birds nested on smaller islands in other parts of the lake. The total population, as estimated by scientists, fell from 46,000 birds to just 21,000 in a single year. But the sad story of Mono Lake may have a happy ending after all. Heavy rains the past 2 years have raised the water level. Several government agencies, including the California Department of Water Resources, are working on a plan to reduce the water diverted from the lake. So it may come to pass that for years into the future, as it has for years in the past, gulls will have a safe place to nest and migratory birds a safe place to rest at Mono Lake. Lila, this is a pendulum, even though maybe it doesn't look like one, because ordinarily you think of pendulums going back and forth like this. But it works as a pendulum like this, and what is determining the period?
The weight of the two clamps?
Right, the weight of the two clamps. Now, if we take off one of the clamps, should it go faster or slower?
Faster.
All right. Give it a push.
It's definitely faster.
Now, you think that's because of what?
The weight.
Well, you're right, but for the wrong reason.
That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. Well, I think it will. If you give me a hand here, here's a loop on the end of this string. Okay. Stick it through the clamp so that you can hang the clamp like that.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, now can you hang it up there?
Okay.
Okay. Now I want to adjust it so that it's nice and tight, but not too tight, and so that it's...
Just
push
on there.
that over a little bit. A little more. Okay. Open it up just a little bit. There. Now, does the clamp have any weight as far as the bar here is concerned?
No, because it's the weight's on here.
Okay. So weight, you see, by definition, is the amount of pull of gravity on something. We've now gotten rid of the weight. Give it a push. Same period.
How come?
So, well, you said it was the weight, and I told you that you were right for the wrong reason, because it's not the weight, it's the mass. You know what mass is?
No.
Well, a lot of people sort of have trouble with it. It's the amount of stuff that's there, and scientifically is defined as the amount of energy necessary to move that mass, and that's what we're doing here.
So the clamp isn't really on the rod?
It isn't on the rod at all,
But
see?
it's still moving?
But it's
of the
still
mass?
moving with this because of its mass.
Oh, I see.
If we took this to the moon, the clamp would weigh less, but what about its mass? Would it change?
No, it wouldn't.
And we'd have exactly the same period. So no matter where we took this in the whole solar system, it would always be the same regardless of its weight. Have you ever seen a steam engine before, Ashley?
In big old-fashioned trains.
Yes. There was a sort of a big cylinder like this.
And then there was an arm that was connected to lots of wheels.
And then usually there were more wheels going out over here. Yeah. Well, they heated their water up with steam. We were using electricity. And inside here is a supply of water, and the steam is coming down right over here. Do you have any idea what's going on in there?
A turbine is spinning, and then that makes that
No, in this case it's a piston. What's a piston?
Well, it's like a stopper, and it's going up and down, and it goes up and down in the cylinder.
I let the pressure out
As
of there.
in a car.
You mean like over here?
Yeah.
Like that? Mm-hmm. That's a piston, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, what I'm going to do is have you hold this little stove underneath the water like that and heat it up. What's going to happen?
Well, the steam is going to push the piston up because steam takes up more space than water.
Than water does, yes. So the piston is going to go up this tube, and up on top here, we have a little hole so the steam can escape. Then I would have to push it down again, and we could start all over again, right? Okay? Now, because we're going to be heating in a glass container, I would like you to put on safety glasses. Have you ever used one of these little stoves and heated up a flask before? Mm-hmm. Well, okay. Now, I'd suggest when you put it under here that you keep moving the stove around. Go ahead.
Okay.
Because it's a good idea not to heat up one part of the glass too much compared to the other. So what you do is you just keep it going around like that.
Okay.
Hey, look at the bubbling. The steam pressure is building up. Is that steam?
No,
boiling.
that's air.
Right,
Like,
we're heating
it's-
up the air in there.
Yeah.
So I'll push it back down till we get rid of the air. You can see our piston is not too good. There's a lot of space for the air to escape.
What's it made of?
Well, this is just thread wound or string wound around the bottom of this thing to sort of take up the space. Okay, no bubbling yet.
Well, there's a few on the sides, but
Okay, now we're beginning to get a little steam. I'll push it down to make sure. There you go. You don't have to go outside of the thing. Just there you go. Now we're getting. There goes the piston. Here comes
slowly.
Now, if we let a big burst of steam get in there quickly, the piston would go up quickly, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But we're moving it up slowly. There it goes.
Ah, really
Okay.
quickly.
Okay, stop it. Right. We don't want it to go off the very end. A little more to get it up past that hole.
The steam is condensing on
Yeah.
the sides.
Because
into
we're not
water.
heating up the whole thing, we're only heating up the bottom, right?
Right.
There we go.
Whoa. That looks like a thermometer.
Yeah, doesn't it? And we were pushing the stem up. Now, let's take a look at this and see what that piston must be doing. Here, it's a little hot, so I want to
Yeah.
grab it. Now, we're heating the water in the boiler here. The steam is coming through this little tube, coming down to here. So when the wheel is in this position, where must the piston be?
It must be like, it's,
Over on this side.
right.
Because watch what happens when it goes out here. That's when it gets a push. Then, you see in the back here, there's a little arm that goes back and forth in the opposite direction?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a little valve. When the wheel gets around over here again, the valve opens and gives it a push. Then the wheel has enough inertia or enough mass to keep turning. So that closes off the little valve. Then it opens it up over here. So this steam engine gives this a constant push. Now let's run it again, but this time not with steam. We're going to use ice.
Just normal ice.
Well, it's a normal ice, yes, except it's called dry ice.
Oh, you mean like carbon dioxide that's really packed, so it's in a
Right.
solid form.
Here's some solid carbon dioxide. And here's the tweezers. You put some of the dry ice in the hole where we ordinarily would add water.
Oops.
What's going to happen to the dry ice?
It's gonna change back into a gas.
Right. And if we close it all off, we're going to be able to make the carbon dioxide gas is going to be filling up here and go down and push that piston. A couple more little pieces.
Okay.
And lots of people have seen a steam engine, but not too many people have seen a dry ice engine. And that's what we're going to have.
Makes a
Okay,
squeaking
one more
sound.
piece. One more piece. Okay. Let me see if that's enough. Put the top on so we create some pressure and give the wheel a spin.
Yeah.
So you no longer call it a steam engine, but what?
Carbon dioxide engine.
Right,
Or dry
carbon
ice.
dioxide engine. But based on the same idea as the steam engine.
Yeah.